time. My best friend slashed my tires. But before I get into the story time, I just want to let you guys know that my website is now officially open and the link is right in bio. So as you all know, I used to take clients, and during this time I was blowing up on social media. So I had this celebrity reach out to me and they wanted their nails done, and I'm like, of course. So I had to travel to them. And of course, the first person I had to tell was my best friend. I told her all the details, where I was going, what time I was leaving, how far the distance was. And I thought she would be more happy for me, but her response was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. But I didn't really think much of it. So the morning of, I had to get up early to drive out there because it was a 2-hour drive. And then I noticed all my tires are slashed. And I checked the cameras and it was her. But that's okay because I got her dad to drive me.
After this, she'll never look at black coffee the same way again. A young married couple planned to go out for dinner, so they hired a babysitter for their daughter. But something horrifying happened soon after, something no one could expect. The babysitter found the couple's daughter sleeping, so she went downstairs to watch TV. Then she heard a loud bang and the phone started ringing. A cackling voice answered, black coffee, I'm in the bedroom. The babysitter ran upstairs and found the couple's daughter in a black shawl. She quietly took it off and went back downstairs. Then the phone rang again. Black coffee, I'm in the kitchen, I've got the baby. She ran into the kitchen and found the couple's daughter in a red wig. So she went around the house and disconnected all the phones. That's when her cell phone rang. Black coffee, I'm in the front yard. As soon as the babysitter went outside, she saw the couple's daughter sitting on the windowsill, wearing the black shawl and the red wig, cackling loudly. Then the babysitter felt a sharp pain in her back. When the couple came back from dinner, they found their daughter in the front yard eating her babysitter. And the dad said, oh God, not again. After this, she'll never look at black coffee the same way again.
This is a chilling true crime story about how an Alabama preacher tried to kill his wife using snakes. Glenn Summerford was a Pentecostal preacher in a small town known as Scottsboro, Alabama. Glenn lived in a remote home outside of the city center with his wife, Darlene, and their young son, Marty. Glenn led a small, rundown Pentecostal church in the local area. He was well known for his passionate sermons where he focused on his teachings about God and the devil, often speaking in tongues while handling venomous snakes. As reported by his wife, Darlene, Glenn kept these snakes in a shed on their rural property. On October 4th, 1991, a 911 call was placed that sent chills down the operator's spine as ambulances rushed to the family's residence. As paramedics arrived, they found Darlene in extreme agony, suffering from a snake bite on her hand. She was then rushed to the nearest hospital, which unfortunately did not have any of the antivenom that she would need to stop her pain. She was then immediately rushed to Birmingham, 90 miles away, to receive the antivenom and care she would need to survive. In what would appear as a miracle sent by God himself, Darlene survived this attack. Once fully conscious and well rested, Darlene knew exactly what had happened to her and who was to blame for putting her only seconds away from her own demise. Darlene reported that it was her husband Glenn who had purposefully had her attacked by the snake. Darlene claimed that Glenn believed his speaking in tongues and handling venomous snakes was proof of his being possessed by a divine power. After further investigation, it was discovered that Glenn had accused Darlene of cheating on him. As punishment for her alleged adultery, he forced her at gunpoint to stick her hand into the box of snakes. This occurred on the Friday night leading up to the 911 call. The following Saturday, she spent the day running errands. When she arrived home, Glenn denied her medical treatment. He then proceeded to hold her at gunpoint and force her to endure another snakebite on that Saturday evening. It is believed that after watching his mother suffer from not one but 2 snake bites, Marty, the son of Darlene and Glenn, had placed the 911 call. After a 2.5-day trial, Glenn was found guilty of attempted murder and faced a mandatory 99-year sentence since he already had 2 prior felony convictions on his record. During the 2-day trial, police also interviewed Glenn's first wife, Doris. Doris testified how she had once seen Glenn almost kill a man during a fight over some cash. When asked if she thought that her abusive ex was capable of murdering someone, she first paused and grimly replied, possibly. Although including venomous snakes as part of a church sermon may seem bizarre and utterly irrational, this event led anthropologists, filmmakers, and more into unearthing a deep, dark, twisted side of the Appalachian rural culture. If you enjoyed listening to this true crime story, make sure to follow and like this video. If you would like to read more about this event, check out thedailybeast.com article published December 7th, 2020.
This man's wife left him, but not for the reasons he thought. Once there was a couple who just got married in Paris. They were very happy together, but the wife had one secret she didn't tell her husband yet. She had a birthmark on her face. She'd been wearing makeup to cover it, but she thought once she showed her husband, she would know whether he truly loved her. So after they got married, she took off her makeup and showed him. He was surprised, but he wasn't going to let that change anything. However, the next morning, his wife was gone. Her husband thought that she must have felt upset due to how surprised he looked when he saw her birthmark. Or maybe she had second thoughts. After months of getting no reply, he finally gave up on trying to look for her. He was heartbroken, but after a few years, he got a new job in a different city. He wanted a fresh start in life, but things didn't go as planned. He came across a strange-looking circus called the House of Oddities. This made him very curious, so he went in, but what he saw inside would shock him. Among the other circus acts, he saw a twisted woman rocking back and forth, looking terrified. He screamed as he recognized the birthmark on her face.
This is gonna be a story time of how I almost drowned someone's baby. Y'all, I cannot sleep at night because of this. I cannot believe that I did this to someone's child. Now, let me go ahead and explain myself. So I was babysitting for this one rich family. What's so amazing about it was the fact that the parents were never home. At the same time, I was just a senior in high school. I didn't have much to do after school either. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't play a sport. So I had all the time in the world to babysit for their kid and house sit for them. This baby was only 1 year old. Since the baby was so young, I had to keep eyes on it at all times. They had this big pool area, and they said that if I ever wanted to go swimming, I could, and there was a floaty for the baby. One day while I was house sitting and babysitting for them, I went in the pool and I put the baby on the floaty thing. Somehow I forgot that that baby existed. I felt something in the bottom of my feet at the pool. It was like slippery, so I kicked it out the way because I thought it was a toy. And then when I turn around me, I see that the baby is not on the floaty. I look down and I see this tiny human sunk in the water, like for part 2. This is part 2 of how I almost drowned someone's baby. When this was happening, I was on my phone, so I was distracted. I looked down in the pool and I see that the baby is drowning. I don't really know how to explain the way that my heart skipped a beat at this exact moment. Like, my heart was beating regularly, and then all of a sudden it skipped 2 beats at a time. I immediately dived down into the pool, took out the baby, but the baby was suffocating. Now listen, I never did CPR, but God blessed me with those skills in that very moment. I was able to keep myself calm and did CPR on the baby and was able to get it to breathe again. I did not tell nobody about this. I didn't tell the parents. The baby is fine. I really should have told the parents, because what if it did cause a health issue? But from what I've seen, the baby's fine. Yeah, I didn't tell them what happened, but I quit babysitting because I felt guilty. They haven't said anything about their baby dysfunctioning, so the baby is fine. Just because of this, I pulled myself out of babysitting, and I'll never babysit ever again because I'm clearly not responsible enough.
Did you and your parents ever play games together? When Jasmine was younger, something strange happened. One night, her mother checked up on her while she was sleeping, but it wasn't the way that you usually think. She woke up in the middle of the night with a strange feeling that someone or something had been watching her. She looked up and saw that her mother was just standing there, smiling and staring at her with her eyes unnaturally wide open. Jasmine asked what she was doing up in the middle of the night, and her mother replied, "I'm watching you sleep." Jasmine knew something was wrong. They kept staring at each other, and neither of them blinked. Jasmine somehow knew they were playing a game together, a game to see who would blink first. But what would happen if Jasmine blinked? She was terrified to find out. This figure in her bedroom was not her mother. It was in her eyes. It held something terrifying, something inhuman. Soon, this version of her mother began moving backwards, without blinking, turning around, or breaking eye contact. She just moved back until she reached Jasmine's closet, then opened the door and stepped inside, as if she'd been staying there this entire time. Jasmine kept staring at the closet, and without breaking eye contact, ran to her parents' room. There, she saw her mother on her bed, sleeping peacefully.